I'm just trying to make sure we're over here on YouTube. When you guys get an alert for your LinkedIn, let me know. But this is Jim Gast, and we are here in No Law Firm Left Behind. I'm joined today again with Vinny. Hey, Vinny, how you doing?
I'm pretty good at yourself.
You know me. I've got the COVID. I'm sure of it. Right? We'll talk about that in a second. DJ, how's it going?
I'm doing good. Doing good.
Yeah, I bet you guys are doing good. So these guys know, and I'll share today. My kids were diagnosed with COVID, and I suspect that at a high likelihood I've got it as well. So I'm stuck in the house with my family, which couldn't be a better thing in the world. Sometimes, these guys are lucky they get to go move about freely. So I'm sure you guys are doing wonderful at this time, right?
Yeah, I'm just glad I haven't been around you lately.
Yeah, right.
Thank God for remote work, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for real. So anyway, this is No Law Firm Left Behind, and what we're here to do is not talk about COVID, but certainly COVID kind of plays into why we're here. During this time, we're trying to help law firms be more competitive, help your staff be more productive and more efficient, and also help you to get clients calling, right? And so today, what we're going to talk about is one of those very difficult conversations. I think it's a difficult conversation. Vinny, Dave, you guys think it's kind of hard to talk about?
It depends who you're talking to.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a high friction discussion.
It is. If you're a business owner, depending on the type of person you are, and there's no right or wrong. But today what we're going to talk about is how to monitor your work from home staff and to make sure that they're being productive and they're actually doing the work. Now, we're not going to debate about it for very long, but I think it's important to at least have that discussion. What we're going to talk about is not whether it's right or wrong so much. I mean, we're going to talk about that for a minute or two, but we're going to talk about the softwares that you can use for this. Dave, you got two lined up?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I've got one lined up. And then, so there's three softwares. And then, Vinny, we're going to talk about voice over IP with you on the things you can do to monitor phone calls and such as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's kind of touch on that real quick topic of right or wrong. Give me your opinions, guys.
So there are two meetings that I always dread sitting in on, and that's telling people that we're going to be locking down their phones and implementing device management on their mobile phones, and then telling them, that we're going to be monitoring what they're doing on their computers. Those tend to get more pushback from employees than anything else that I've dealt with. And I've had some pretty fiery discussions when management wants one thing and the employees want something different,
Yeah.
So it's always a point of contention.
Yeah. Benny, you've got some interesting thoughts about this. Let's hear it.
Big brother is
right.
Is how I see it. So I can understand from a business perspective. We want to see from an IT perspective, especially now as security becomes more and more of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
We need to see more and more what people are doing, right? But I'm weary of the guy that's sitting home at night watching everything every employee does, because I'm questioning what's the purpose of monitoring. If we're saying we monitor it for security and it's limited access and so on and so forth, and we just want to have records in case something happens. We want to see what happened, what went on. That will help us to get to the root cause, resolution faster, that type of thing. But I'm not a big fan of the overall monitoring everything the employee does. At some point, but I think that just comes from the mentality I come from, not necessarily the technology itself.
Well, I think we all want to be trusting, right?
It's the whole trust but verify approach. Okay. Vinny, you mentioned security, and I'm going to take a step further than security and talk about compliance. And I'm going to talk about that, a lot of times these business owners, it's more than just a desire to make sure bad things aren't happening. They have a duty to ensure that bad things aren't happening. Now, I think that there's definitely always a different flavor based on what your motivation is for this. Sometimes it's a very punitive mindset why something like this gets rolled out. And I think that oftentimes ends up poorly because it almost feels like you're going on a witch hunt in the first place.
Yeah.
But I also do believe that having the ability to go back and find out what was happening is super critical in today's world. And so I'm not opposed to monitoring software. I think that it's more about how is it going to be used.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the things, and let me just add this in here, and then it's kind of my thing. So I'm in favor of it, but I also think from a usability perspective, it has to be smart. It can't just be a flood of information without any kind of rhyme or reason to it. Okay, so it's got to be something that's digestible.
Okay. Okay.
Otherwise, it's worthless. Otherwise, it's just noise.
So we really don't monitor our staff. I mean, we have video cameras. We record every call inbound and outbound. But we don't record and we record, and not that we're recording these things, but we record web usage, right? So if somebody's going to a website, we have mechanisms for that. But we don't record what people are actually doing and typing on their computers, which is to the extreme, right?
Yeah, and some of these other technologies that you mentioned have already been around for years and implemented for years.
Nothing
right?
new.
Video cameras have been around, and they watch you walk around or whatever it is. They can see how many times you go get coffee, and no one cares about that, right? Because they know that it's for security. The web filters that are in place that's monitoring where are we going on the web, to maintain security, make sure that the ethics of the business are maintained, those types of things. Again, people have gotten used to those, and they understand the reasons now, and they accept them, right? So some of those things have been around for years, right? Yeah. But some of this other stuff that folks are doing, like you said, monitoring everything that you do on your computer.
Keystrokes, for crying out loud. Keystrokes. It can go to extreme. I think it's a culture question, right? What kind of culture do you want to have? If you're doing it strictly for compliance, security, and so on and so forth, I don't think anybody can question that. But if you lay awake at night wondering what your staff are doing, whether they're being productive or not, then maybe you don't have the right staff.
Well, let's back up a second here. I'm gonna disagree with that.
Okay.
All right. There's, as business owners, okay, you don't know a lot.
Yeah.
And oftentimes it's the stuff you don't know that's blowing up and becoming much more in your own head. So I've seen a number of instances where people think that, oh, I've got these slackers, I've got these people not working, I need to know what they're doing. And then they go in and they see what they're actually doing, and they're like, oh, well, they're not really screwing off nearly as bad as I thought they were. So in some ways, it really does. I mean, look, for a team, if you've got someone not carrying their weight, it's unfair to the rest of the team. Mm-hmm. So I don't think a business owner identifying that's a bad thing. What I do think is just randomly guessing and grabbing things out of the air and saying, well, this employee is not productive. What makes you do that? I don't know. I can just tell.
Yeah.
It should, having a tool that measures that, I think, creates a much more fair work environment.
I don't disagree, but I think that you're going to see something before you even implement some software. And I believe that you need to head that off at the pass with that individual. Okay. Before you consider a piece of software to monitor everyone, right? Okay.
Something's beeping.
Anyone
else hear that?
There's my little timer. Hey, we're over. We're over. I didn't even hear it, guys.
I didn't even know you had a timer going. I was like,
yeah. Uh-oh. Well, I want to keep us on track to a degree. Okay.
There you go.
So, okay. Well, you know what? Go ahead, Ben. You're going to say something?
No.
Okay. So I'm going to segue right into this, and I'm going to talk about Time Doctor, the software Time Doctor. And so Time Doctor, I was looking over their website last night, and it's been a piece of software that I've known for a while. I know a lot of people that actually use it, and they swear by it, right? I really like the approach that they take. They have a frequently asked questions section on their website. And I don't know that I'm going to bother showing it, but I love the approach that they take. Is it right to monitor your employees, right? Is that what we should be doing, or what should not be doing? And their answer is pretty simple, right? We don't really. Hey, I want to read it verbatim. Oh, come on, hang on. I wish I could. I can't find it. Anyway, they say, look, we don't view it either way, right or wrong. We make software to accomplish the goal based on the business owner or the employee's goals, right? We just make the software. It is every employer's responsibility to determine for themselves what is best for their organization. I like that approach. We can't tell you. You have to really evaluate it. But talking about Time Doctor in particular, I'm going to share my screen and show you what I wanted to show you on here. Give me a second, guys. Got to get it back up. They got a great feature section. Look, first I'm going to say, I think, Dave, you'll agree, Time Doctor is actually pretty expensive compared to some of these other softwares, right?
It can be, but after you show some features, I want to point out something about Time Doctor.
Yep, I'm going to bring it up right here. I'm going to show just a Chrome tab real quick. Tell me if you guys can see that okay. Tell me when that... Oh, I haven't shared it on the...
There we go.
All right, here we are. So I'm not showing the pricing, but compared to some of the other ones out there, let's just go hop over into the pricing, and $7 for one user per month. Dave, what do you know about that pricing compared to the two that you're looking at?
It's actually on the very low end, but it's also because you're not really getting
much, right?
Yeah.
I mean, really, honestly, everybody's going to probably, if you're going to use a Time Doctor, you're going for the standard, okay? Mm-hmm. And that is probably going to give you the best bang for your buck for monitoring your staff when they're working from home. Now, before I go any further on this, what I do want to say is that this is not something to monitor the home computer that they're working on. It can be, but this is to monitor the office computer that they're working on. Unless, of course, you as a business owner, as a law firm owner, own the device they're working from their house on. Okay. Did I say it clear enough, guys? Make that clear if it needs to be clear.
I think the point is that this sort of tracking system really is only being installed on corporate-owned devices.
That's the best way to say it. Now, if they're working from home on a corporate-owned device, no problem. If they're working at home through a home computer onto a corporate device, you're monitoring corporate device, not the home computer. Mm-hmm. I think that's pretty clear. So yeah, and it doesn't matter if they're in the same location, doesn't matter if they're in different locations. The $10 a month, the plan is probably where you're going to go. And they've got a reseller program, so you could probably get a little bit cheaper through a reseller. But I digress on that, and I want to go through some of the features. Here's what stands out to me, and I really like this one right here. This distractions alert to me seems to be really cool. So if we're working on something and we go to Facebook, well, Facebook may be a distraction. So it's going to pop up and say, hey, doesn't look like you're really doing a certain thing, or maybe your computer's sitting quiet for a certain amount of time. All right. It's going to say, is this really what you should be doing? Now, again, Vinny, you're laughing. Tell me why you're laughing.
I have no comment.
No holds barred, man. People want to hear it.
As I'm sitting here, and I think throughout the day, I have little distractions that help reset me. And to get barked at by my computer saying, "Are you still working?" If I'm taking that distraction, to me, it's like, I don't know how I would react to something like that. If you ever put this in place, Jim, we're going to have a conversation.
We don't have it in place. But you know what? If look at it from, if you're an employee, okay, and you're trying to get work done and you're under the gun and you just kind of slip away for a little bit of reminder doesn't hurt. Okay. Dave, you got any input on that?
So I will I'm just going to throw this out. If I wait till the end, and I hope I'm not stealing any thunder here, but
No, go ahead.
one of the strengths of Time Doctor, and just so you know, I'm a former Time Doctor user. Okay,
I didn't know you did that.
I used it years ago, or a while ago. I don't even know. Time blends together,
okay.
but I intentionally like the use of this program, especially for attorneys. Okay, because think about it. For a lot of legal practices, how do you make money? You make sure you're getting billable work done.
Right.
How do you make sure that you're capturing all your time? From my experience as an attorney, it's as hard to make sure that I caught everything I did over the course of a day as it is to do it.
I wasn't going to say this, by the way, so go right for it.
If I didn't capture it, I don't make that money.
That's right.
And so Time Doctor, where it really excels, is it gives you a replay. Hey, you spent this much time in this file. You spent this much time on this website. You spent, if you have the phone integration turned on, you spent this much time on this phone call to this person, and it puts it all together. Okay.
That's right.
So, I mean, and I'll be, I joke around about it. I probably am undiagnosed ADHD as a kid. I need that kind of stuff to keep me on track. Or if something's not nudging me, I'll go down a rabbit hole.
So there's a big difference there to me, is you're holding yourself accountable. I do the same on my phone. I use the on my iPhone. I have it's the screen time app turned on, right? And it basically tells me how much time I'm using my phone, and what kinds of things I'm doing on my phone, and that helps me to, it's easy to get distracted on the phone, and then you go, forever. And so it helps me to, one is see how much, what am I doing, and can I be more efficient? And I used to have timesheets for myself to track those types of things as well. I mean, holding myself accountable, I think, is important, because I have a responsibility to my employer.
Yep.
Right. And so,
but if look at it from this perspective, Vinny.
Yep.
Okay. If I am a managing partner, I own the law firm, I'm the managing partner, whatever. We have a responsibility to make sure that those attorneys, to help them along, to make sure that they're hitting their, their 2,000 hours or whatever it is. I don't. What do you see typically, Dave? 1,800 hours a year.
It depends on.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. I mean, but you're right.
I started off at firms where if you were doing 1,800 hours a year, you're not going to be there more than a year or two.
Yeah, I know. So, but the point is that if we have an expectation of meeting that time, an application like this can help a firm along, can help a lawyer along, can help a paralegal along.
It can, and that's where, when we go back to what our initial debate was, it's all about what's the motive.
Yep.
What's the flavor? Why are we doing this?
Hey, look, we're revenue based. If we don't hit our time, we're not making our money, and somebody's going to lose their job.
And I will say this: between the three softwares that we're going to look at today, Time Doctor, in my opinion, is probably the easiest sell to your employees.
Yeah,
because so much of what it does is productivity facing, versus Big Brother. It's just my opinion, and I'll show you some of the things in the two that I'm going to talk about that are a lot more Big Brother and a lot less productivity.
So I like the Workday Insights. Okay, so if I am in charge of a group of people, I can see how they've been working for that day. Okay, and they can also look at it for themselves, which I really like. If they're, like you said, Dave, if they're missing out on billable time, they can drill down in and find out what they're doing that maybe they did miss their some billable instances. Okay.
I mean, this is a feature that in a lot of the legal case management software that we use, the attorneys freaking love that they're walking their back to make sure they're not missing stuff. This is just taking it to that next level.
Yep. I got two more pieces on this, Dave, and I'm going to let you talk about the two you've got.
Yeah.
The other one I like is this one right here at the bottom. Okay. They don't show too much, but I like it. Impress your clients, right? It's a nice website, but they're really marketing driven, right? Trying to help you make the decision. Client login means that, hey, if I'm working as a consultant and I want transparency to whoever I'm working for, I can give them insights to see what I'm doing for them. So if I have, for example, if I'm a staffing agency, I'm a staff augmentation, and I'm not an employee, and I need the person I'm working for, to see the stuff that I'm working for their project. They can't see everybody else's stuff, but they can see the time that I'm actually physically working on web development or document development, or whatever it is, right? And so it is a very cool tool to allow both your people, your staff at your law firm, to let your clients see, yeah, I really did do this. But turn it around for a second. How many law firms actually use outside vendors too? Okay. Well, show me you did what you did, and actually give me access. You use Time Doctor as well. So a lot of people don't think about that, but as a business owner, if I've got somebody working for me that's not an employee, show me what you're doing. I just want to know, give me some insight so I can see progress and status. And then the other one, I think that most of them are going to probably have this. And this really gets into a kind of an edgy area, Dave and Vinny, is we can put this on mobile devices.
Yes.
Well, if the firm owns the mobile device,
that's one thing.
That's one thing. If the firm doesn't own the mobile device, you're going to probably end up with some kicking and screaming on this. And so you really have to approach it appropriately. I don't even know how to go down this path. From a technology perspective, honestly, from a technology consultant's perspective, we just do what we're told. We can give advice, but at the end of the day, we just do what we're told. So thoughts on that, guys?
That's a hard sell in a corporate-owned device. And frankly,
even
when I talk with people about this, the answer is, yeah, if it's their personal device, I wouldn't even go there.
Yeah.
Unless somebody wants it. Hey, we have the option for this. We're not going to mandate it on a personal device, but you might find it helpful.
Yeah.
You're not going to have a lot of takers. I mean, that's
I would say that's a tough one. If you're a lawyer,
worse than a work computer, because that's a very personal device.
Yeah. But if you're an attorney and you're really motivated and you really want to track your effort, right, and not lose out on a minute of billable time, you may decide to adopt it. So maybe you put it out there as, we'd like to offer this. You don't have to use it. So, Vinny, you're just stewing. I just want to hear it. Give it. Come on, man.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
No, you're not.
There's an understand. So the way we work today is way different. There's a lot of crossover into personal time and personal space. There's a lot of things going on our phones, for example, that are personal and business, and companies understand that already. It used to be like you absolutely cannot make personal calls on your cell phones, right? And some of that was because, at that time you paid per minute and blah, blah, blah. And now companies are more laxed on those types of things. And so people do personal activities on their phones, right? You don't want them to do illegal activities, right? But we have MDM solutions for those types of things. We can stop apps and so on and so forth. But the idea of, again, someone watching everything I do on my phone, and if I'm texting my wife or my kids or my family or whatever it is, somebody has access to that at some point, right? And so at that point, I would just carry two phones.
All right, Dave, I'm done with Time Doctor. If you want, we can dive into it individually later on. Somebody else, if you're interested, just PM any of us on this, and private messages. We can actually answer any questions. Dave, talk about what you've got.
All right.
You're going to throw something up on the screen for us?
Yeah, I am.
Cool. Ooh, nice. Quick comparison.
All right, so I'm going to talk about two other programs, and because I'm trying to fit two into one, this is going to move really rapid fire, okay? So the two that I'm going to talk about, one's called Controlio, one's called InterGuard. I consider these two, if you're talking about monitoring, they're two of my favorite. So let's start with asking, when we're talking about monitoring, what do people usually want? So this is the kind of stuff people are normally wanting to track. So they want to track login, log offs, is somebody there? What time does somebody get to work? What time do they leave? Obviously, like Jim, you mentioned with Time Doctor, that idle versus active time. If the computer's sitting there not being used, that's important to know.
Yeah.
Again, website tracking, application tracking, and file tracking. All right. What websites were you on? How long were you on them? Are they business sites or are they personal sites? What programs are you sitting in over the course of the day? If you've got, Spotify open all day, that's one thing. If you've got Word or your practice management system open all day, that's a whole other thing. File tracking. What are you actually looking at? What files are you opening? How long are you sitting in them? What modifications are you making to them? Okay. Then you have data loss prevention. We mentioned security. We mentioned compliance. People want to be alerted as if something that is sensitive is potentially being accessed. And then, Jim, I know you mentioned it as being at the extreme, but screenshots and keylogging are also things that a lot of people, when they're looking at these kind of systems, they're the sort of features that they're looking for. Okay. I'm going to start with Controlio. And again, just like all these players, they have a great features section. I'm staying at a real 50,000-foot view. All right. So this is just, you get general dashboards that cover everything, the overall productivity score across your entire team for individuals, et cetera, and a live dashboard. And I know this, Vinny, I can't see your face right now, but just the inclusion of the word surveillance, real-time surveillance in the marketing materials just really speaks home that we've moved from like the Time Doctor, hey, this is a productivity tool, into the, hey, you're able to watch everything everybody's doing at all times. Okay. So we've moved from productivity to this is Big Brother monitoring capable. And that's what this is giving you.
It's a brave new world, Dave.
And so, in real time, if you look at this picture here, it's showing you snapshots from all your different users. So if something catches your eye, and I could just see people sitting there with a big screen TV in their office, just with this dashboard pulled up all day. And that's a little terrifying, but if you want this kind of insight, you can get that. We have and I'm going to talk, when I talk about InterGuard, they do scheduled screenshots. Okay. And just so you know, Jim, one of the reasons why Time Doctor can be very expensive is because you don't even get the screenshotting capability until you go to the $20 a month.
That's right.
For Controlio and InterGuard, it's both less than $10 per month. Okay. Based on volume and whatnot. And you get this. So in Controlio, it's doing continuous screen recording. So it's not even just doing screenshots. It's literally recording all of your employees' screens all day long, 24 hours, the whole time they're using it. All right. And I'll tell you how that comes back around when we get to the key logging. Web filtering, again, we can get alerted to if people go to certain websites. We can block certain websites. This is all very standard fare. Key logging, in addition to the screen recording, it captures everything you type on that machine at all times. And it synchronizes it back to the screen capture. So if you have a hit of something interesting from the keylogger and you go, hey, that's interesting that this stuff's being typed. Let's go see what's going on here. You can actually go from the keylogger and go back and pull up the screen recording from that same time period to get the context and figure out what was really going on. So a little bit terrifying that it's capable, but also, if you want to have concrete evidence, you're not going to get much better than this, because you literally have everything that somebody typed and everything that somebody had on their computer screen.
Probably really good. It's probably really good in an HR situation for sure.
Absolutely. Again, standard fare here. It'll track what applications you were using. It'll track what websites you were using, what app, et cetera, and give you nice charts and drill downs and all that stuff. This is just, it's cloud-based, so it's accessible anywhere, like for your monitoring. And here's another one, and this is, again, controversial. We keep talking about, are you going to get pushback from your employees? I know people that are like, I'm just not going to tell them.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to put this in, and the employees never even know that it's there because it doesn't show up in the add remove programs. There's no icons. There's no folders. It's all hidden. The tasks are all either invisible or named something else that looks like something else. I mean, so stealth mode.
You know, I want to say something. We're not judgmental on this at all. None of us are judgmental. We have our own opinions, but everybody has to do what they have to do. And I fully and truly believe that.
And I think that you're going to see this a little bit more just because of the materials that I'm working from. Controlio gives a ton of, hey, we have these capabilities, okay? InterGuard has a lot of the same capabilities, but they do a really good job of pointing out where the value of this is, okay? So I'm going to blast through the InterGuard stuff as well. So InterGuard its real focus is on being smart and filtering things out, okay? So I'm going to go through and show you some of the features, but I've highlighted some of the things that I like most about InterGuard's features. So first of all, it tracks time. It tracks logins, log-offs, etc. See this one right here, the GPS location tracking? That would, again, be if you had it on a device.
Right.
Couple things. Logins, log-offs. Well, who's getting there late? Who's leaving early? And, of course, we're going to track active and idle time. Again, you're going to find this across every monitoring system, all right? This is where I think InterGuard starts to separate itself with some of its really cool features. So it does screenshots, but it has 3 different flavors of screenshots. One, it can do alert word screenshots, which means that if one of your employees types something in or pulls up a website that has, or a file that has certain words in it, InterGuard's going to go, you know what? We're going to just take a screenshot of what this is just in case, because that's one of our alert words. And you're going to see this over and over again. This also, Jim, you mentioned HR. This will say, hey, if somebody has a certain alerting word in an email, we're going to take a snapshot of that email.
Interesting.
Okay.
So if somebody's looking for a job and the word resume shows on the screen,
they've got that very example in one of my later slides. Yep.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, that's good. It's good because yes, and that's what this system does really, really well. It also can do continuous screenshots. Now, this is not quite the same as the video that Controlio does, but you could set it to say every 20 seconds, I want you to take a screenshot. And this is in addition to any screenshots that get kicked off because of a word alert. Okay. So, and then it'll put them all together and you watch like these 20-second, almost like a time lapse sort of thing. So while it's not continuous screen recording, it's pretty darn close. Finally, it's got what they call smart camera screenshots. And what this does is you can set up screenshots that anytime somebody accesses a particular website or a particular key application, think like a payroll application or an HR application or something sensitive, it'll screenshot them doing that. And then you can go in and you can filter on just those screenshots for those critical apps and websites. So, I mean, there's a lot of flexibility to set up so that you're capturing just the critical stuff and you don't have to worry about the 99.997% of stuff that's totally irrelevant to you. Okay? So it cuts down on that noise. Then we move into a lot of their alerting systems. So this is, in addition to just taking a screenshot, it can send alerts. So if you've got certain things, certain keywords, certain text, that if my employees are typing something, not only do I want you to take a screenshot, I'd also like you to let me know about that one. You could set that up.
Catch them in the act.
Yep. It does email monitoring, and this is something that they call out. They actually integrate with Outlook as well as webmail. And so it's got a couple things. This is not, I would not consider this a full-on replacement for, you know, like we work with Mimecast and ATP and whatnot for other things, but it still has some of those features. So let's say you have an employee and they're deleting their email. This will keep a record of it for you. So you still have a copy of that email, even if they've deleted it.
Now, is that a screenshot of the email or is that an actual copy of the email?
It is a screenshot if it is based on an alert. It's a record of it in general. Does that make sense?
Yeah, they deleted an email with this subject kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And again, this whether they're using Outlook or webmail, InterGuard has functionality to work with it.
Mm-hmm.
Keyword alerts, again, I mentioned this before, immediately, but this is applied to email. If somebody sends an email, inbound or outbound, with a risky keyword, confidential, social security number, take a sexually based harassment sort of, I'm not going to go into what people could be saying, but you can use your imagination. People could have inappropriate comments in an email that they send. We need to know about that. And we need a screenshot of that email. And I need to be alerted that that's happening because we might need to get HR involved, for example. Okay. Again, standard fare, web activity. Once again, Jim, alert words on the page. That's kind of what you were saying before. If somebody's pulling up a job search website, if they go to, maybe they don't get a Monster, maybe they're on Craigslist. I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
And they're looking at job openings. Well, it notices job openings on the page, so it's gonna create an alert based on that. Files. Here's a cool part. They're file tracking. Once you have the agent installed, it can track what you're doing with your files, even if they're not connected to the network, and it'll just synchronize it up the next time they connect. Social media. Most of these systems will track social media. One of the things that I like is it'll actually track what chat apps people are using and what they're putting into those chat apps, because those are points of exfiltration of data that most people don't think of. Again, keyword alerts when we're talking about keylogger. And you know what? I should have put this on here. This is all regarding the keylogger. So InterGuard has a keylogger, monitors everything you're typing. Just like with the screenshots, it can alert you just for certain keywords. Okay. But it does capture everything, but you don't have to go back and read everything. The other really cool feature that I like here is once it's installed, again, even if they're not connected to the network, it's still keeping a record of everything that's being typed. And so the next time they connect, it's going to upload all that information for you.
That's actually pretty nice.
Yep. So those two were Controlio and InterGuard. Like I said, I tried to blast through it really fast. If anyone wants any, ask any questions or anything like that, more than happy to answer.
So we're running a little bit over time, Dave. Look, I think that both those applications are very heavy in alerting. And you know what? I don't know enough right now about Time Doctor if it's got the alerts built into it like that, but that's a really awesome feature. Vinny, I want to talk real quick about voice over IP systems and phones monitoring calls, because that is sometimes more important than what an employee is actually doing on their computer, where they're actually staying productive. Because like I said, we monitor our calls inbound and outbound at SpliceNet. And the reason we do it is really if there's ever a question or a problem, somebody gets upset. I want to go back and listen to the context of what that was and review it with our staff. What other kinds of things can you do with voice over IP solutions? And what do you like to as far as voice over IP solutions?
So Citricom is our choice for voice over IP solutions.
Shameless plug.
And they have the capability to record both incoming and outgoing calls. And again, we come back to why do you want to do this? Well, one is training, and for training purposes, right? You record calls, other people can listen, and people can learn from it, whether it be the person making the call or someone else listening in. And it can be done whether you're using a queue, whether it's in a group, whether it's extension, DIDs, it doesn't matter. You can record in both directions on those calls as well. Certain features when you're using call queues and such as listening in on calls. If you have a supervisor that's training someone, or if you have someone that's shadowing someone, you can do that as well. But the call recording, and then we'll record other calls. At some point, you can transfer those off. It's very easy to do that using the system to make sure that, again, you want to keep track of what your employees are saying. If you want to have an idea of what conversations are happening out there, And it would be controlled. So only those folks who are supposed to have access to the recordings will have access.
And you know what? It's not an all or nothing. You could say, I want to record this group of people, or I want to record this line, or I want to record inbound calls only, or I want to record outbound calls only. You don't have to record them either, because they all show there's a log of them and the recording is attached to the logs. So you can just look at logs if you want to. Mm-hmm. What I like about it, and there's nobody on the phone right now, and I'm going to turn it sideways. Can you guys see that okay? Or is that too much light?
It's a little glare. Little glare.
I'm going to try it this way. So you can see the dots, right? And so just even, for example, on our phone app, can you see the dots okay? Mm-hmm. Guys. So if, for example, Tony picked up the phone or Vinny picked up his phone and actually was making a call, it would actually go dark, and I could actually see if Vinny, do you have your home phone? Or are you doing it?
That's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, cool. So Vinny's getting ready to go and call Dave or something like that, or anybody, and his extension would go dark. Obviously, there might be a time delay, and I'm not going to wait too long for it. But his extension would go dark, and I can tell who's on the phone, who's not on the phone. And what's nice about this is this isn't just there it goes. This isn't just a monitoring feature. In my opinion, this is a presence thing, right? Mm-hmm. And so we can tell, hey, is that person busy? Can I interrupt them? And you can do similar things with Microsoft Teams for presence. But no, I mean, Voice over IP gives you that ability to actually have that person have a mobile phone app that they can use your phone system from your home. You can record the calls. You can see if they're on the phone. And further, and this doesn't even talk about video surveillance, Dave and Vinny. That's a whole nother conversation. I think that every business just needs that from a security perspective. Not necessarily. That's an easier one to sell to your employees than any of the other technologies. So, guys, I think we covered it pretty well. You guys think?
No, I mean, I think that we definitely, gave a good overview to people. Yeah. These systems can be very deep. So again, any questions or anything, definitely hit us up. We can go through any of the details.
Yeah. We've got the No Law Firm Left Behind group on LinkedIn. We'd love to talk through the No Law Firm Left Behind the group, where this would be posted in the No Law Firm Left Behind group on LinkedIn as well. So if you want to join it, just search No Law Firm Left Behind on LinkedIn and ask for membership. Vinny, you like to kind of talk about how this topic related to close us off. You want to cover that for us?
So the pillars are keep your customers calling and keep your firm productive, and keep your firm competitive. And I think definitely this falls under the productivity side. Again, the reason we do these videos is to help you guys meet those three objectives. And so definitely, these tools can be used for productivity to monitor productivity for either the individual or those that are in supervisory roles.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to next week. We're interviewing Mark Stahl from Stahl Legal. That's going to be really fun. Vinny, you're pretty excited about this. I think we're gonna let you do the interview.
Me? I like Mark. I really do.
He's a good guy. He's a really good guy.
He's a really nice guy. Yes.
Guys, what he did, what him and his partners did by starting this international, really, because really Carter was over in Italy when we started the firm, right? When they started the firm. And so he was locked down and still, help making it all happen. They started a virtual firm. Vinny, what's your specialty?
So they're going to be working with corporations primarily that don't have in-house counsel for health insurance negotiations and that type of thing. Yeah.
They're experts at it, but the things that he went through, the challenges that he faced,
and it's not only that. There's some other areas as
well.
Oh
yeah. We'll let him cover all that stuff next week. Mm-hmm. But the challenges he faced, successes they had, how they work together as a team, spread out throughout the states. Right, it's going to be a great story. I'm really looking forward to it next week. Mm-hmm. Again, we're on No Law Firm Left Behind, Tuesdays 10:30 Eastern. Looking forward to see you again next week, guys. Thanks a lot. Great show.
All right.
Bye.
Take care.